The great chamber of the Galactic Council stretched wide and tall, its walls made of shimmering crystal that reflected the light of 1,000 distant stars. Inside, representatives from 47 different alien species sat in curved rows, their seats arranged in circles that rose higher and higher toward the domed ceiling. At the center of it all stood a simple platform where those who wished to speak could address the council. Ambassador Ji-young Park stood on that platform now, her dark uniform crisp and clean, her face calm. She was human, and that meant something different here than it did on Earth. Here, among these ancient civilizations, humanity was young, laughably young. The council members looked at her the way adults might look at a child playing dress-up. The Keltheran representative spoke first. He was tall, nearly 3 meters, with blue-gray skin and 4 arms that he used to gesture dramatically. His voice boomed through the chamber. The matter is simple, human. Your species has occupied the Sol system for long enough. The Council has decided that Earth and its surrounding territories will be redistributed for proper colonization. You will surrender 80% of your claimed space. You will submit to Council governance. You have 30 days to comply. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Vrexian delegate, a creature that looked like an oversized insect with armor plating and too many eyes, clicked its mandibles in approval. Other species nodded or made whatever gestures their biology allowed for agreement. Ji-young waited for the noise to die down. She had practiced this moment 100 times on the journey here. She knew what they expected. They expected her to argue, to plead, to buy time. They expected fear. She gave them none of that. We decline, she said simply. Her voice was clear and steady. Leave our system within 72 hours. Or face the consequences. For a moment, there was complete silence. Then the chamber erupted. Not in anger, but in laughter. The sound echoed off the crystal walls, building and building until it felt like the whole station was shaking with it. The Keltheran representative laughed so hard, he had to brace himself against his podium. Consequences? From you? He turned to address the other council members. The humans have 200 ships. We have seen them. We have counted them. The council fleet numbers over 50,000 vessels. What consequences could they possibly threaten us with? More laughter. The Vrexian made a sound like grinding metal that might have been its version of amusement. Even the smaller species, the ones who usually stayed quiet during council sessions, joined in the mockery. Ji-young stood perfectly still and waited. She had been briefed before coming here. She knew exactly how this would go. Admiral Donghyun Lee had told her what to expect. They think we're weak, he had said. Let them think it. Let them laugh. It will make what comes next so much better. When the laughter finally died down, another delegate stood. This one was from a species called the Torvans. Beings of pure energy contained in crystalline shells. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. Perhaps the human does not understand the situation. Let me explain it simply. Your species discovered faster than light travel only 50 years ago. You are children playing with toys you barely comprehend. We have been traveling the stars for millennia. Some of us have been doing so since before your species learned to make fire. We understand perfectly. Ji-young replied. You want our home. You think you can take it because you have more ships and more experience. But you are making a mistake. The only mistake, the Keltheran said, his amusement fading into cold authority, is your refusal. We have been generous in giving you time to consider. We could simply take what we want. Perhaps we should. Perhaps we will. Jung reached into her uniform pocket and pulled out a small device. She pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared above the platform. Visible to everyone in the chamber, it showed Earth, beautiful and blue, hanging in the darkness of space. Then it showed the Council's fleet, thousands upon thousands of ships gathering at the edge of human-claimed territory. You have already sent your ships, Ji-young said. They are at our border right now. This is not a negotiation. This is a threat. You have already decided to attack. The Keltheran did not deny it. We sent them as encouragement for you to make the right choice. They will remain there until you surrender, or until we grow tired of waiting. Ji-young turned slowly, making eye contact with as many delegates as she could. She wanted them to see her face. She wanted them to remember this moment. 72 hours, she said again. That is how long you have to withdraw your fleet and leave our system. If you do not, we will consider it an act of war, and we will respond accordingly. The Vrexian delegate clicked forward, its many legs clattering on the polished floor. You speak of war as if you understand it. Your species has fought among yourselves for your entire history. Yes. But you have never faced a real enemy. You have never faced us. We will crush you like insects. Your 200 ships will burn, and your planet will be ours. This is not a threat, human. It is a promise. Ji-young smiled then, just a little. It was not a friendly smile. You have looked at our ships. You have counted them. You think you know everything about us, but you have made one critical error. And what is that? The Kelthoran asked, sounding bored now. You assumed we would show you everything we have. You assumed we are too primitive to deceive you. You assumed that because we are young, we are also stupid. She paused. We are not. The chamber grew quieter. Some of the delegates leaned forward, paying attention now. Earth has spent 50 years in space, Ji-young continued. But we spent 10,000 years before that perfecting one particular skill. Do you know what that skill is? No one answered. War, she said softly. We waged war against ourselves for our entire history. We created weapons that could destroy our entire planet. We built machines designed for nothing except killing. We studied strategy and tactics and developed ways to kill each other that you cannot imagine. And then, 50 years ago, we turned all of that knowledge, all of that experience, toward the stars. We did not waste time exploring peacefully. We did not waste time making friends. We spent every single moment preparing for the day when someone like you would try to take what is ours. The Keltharan waved a dismissive hand. Empty words. You have 200 ships. We have 50,000. No amount of experience changes mathematics. 7 days, Ji-young said, ignoring him. That is how long we estimate it will take your fleet to reach Earth after you give the order to attack. So I will give you 7 days to reconsider. Withdraw your ships, leave our space, forget about Earth, or we will show you exactly what humanity has been preparing for these past 50 years. She turned and walked off the platform. Behind her, the laughter started again, but it sounded more nervous now. Some of the delegates were not laughing at all. As Ji-young left the chamber, she activated her communication device. Admiral Dong-hyun Lee's face appeared on the small screen. How did it go? He asked. Exactly as you predicted, she replied. They laughed. They threatened. They think we are helpless. Good, the Admiral said. His expression was grim. Let them think that for 6 more days. On the 7th day, they will learn the truth, and they will never forget it. The transmission ended. Ji-young walked through the corridors of the council station, heading back to her ship. Around her, alien beings went about their business, none of them paying her any attention. They thought the matter was settled. They thought Earth would surrender or be destroyed. They would all learn differently very soon. Back on Earth, in underground bunkers and hidden facilities scattered across the planet, systems were already powering up. Ships that no one knew existed were preparing to launch. Weapons that violated every council treaty were being armed and targeted. And millions of people were getting ready to show the galaxy exactly what happened when you threatened humanity's home. The countdown had begun. Deep beneath the mountains of Colorado, 3 kilometers under solid rock, Director Taeyong Choi walked through corridors that did not appear on any map. The facility was called Shadow Site 7, and it was one of 23 identical bases hidden across Earth. Each one contained secrets that would make the Galactic Council reconsider everything they thought they knew about humanity. Taeyong stopped at a security checkpoint, where armed guards scanned his biometrics. The door slid open with a soft hiss, and he entered a vast chamber filled with activity. Hundreds of technicians worked at stations, their screens showing data that scrolled too fast for normal eyes to follow. In the center of the room, a massive holographic display showed the positions of every ship in human space, both visible and hidden. "Status report," Taeyang said to the nearest officer. The woman looked up from her console. "All systems are green, Director. We have confirmation from all 23 shadow sites. The stealth fleet is ready to deploy on your order. The quantum cannons are charged and locked on target coordinates. Drone production facilities have exceeded quotas. We have more than enough." "Good. What about the Reaper units?" Engineer Minho Shin reports, all 12 Reaper-class dreadnoughts are operational. He says they are ready to show the Council what real warships look like. Taeyang allowed himself a small smile. The galaxy thought humans had 200 ships. They had counted correctly. What they did not know was that those 200 ships were only meant to be seen. They were the bait, the distraction, the acceptable face that humanity showed to the stars. The real fleet was hidden. 2,000 stealth vessels, each one equipped with cloaking technology that bent light and sensor waves around them. The Council's sensors could not detect them. Their scanners would show empty space, even when a human warship was close enough to touch. But ships were just the beginning. On the moon's far side, massive cannons sat in craters, their barrels pointing toward the stars. They were quantum displacement weapons, designed by Earth's brightest minds over decades of secret research. These cannons did not fire projectiles through normal space. They folded space itself, creating temporary tunnels that allowed their shots to appear instantly at their target, bypassing any shields or defensive systems. In orbit around Mars, hidden inside fake asteroids and abandoned mining facilities, millions of drones waited. Each one was the size of a human fist, nearly impossible to see, and carried enough antimatter to vaporize a ship 10 times its size. They could swarm, coordinate, and think as a collective hive. The Council had never seen weapons like these, because they had never needed to fight an enemy that thought like humans did. Taeyang moved to another section of the facility, taking an elevator that descended even deeper underground. When the doors opened, he stepped into a cold room where scientist Eunji Kim stood before a sealed vault door. "Director," she said, not turning around. Her eyes were fixed on the door, as if she could see through it to what lay beyond. "I have finished the final calculations. The Horizon Protocol is ready." "Are you certain?" Taeyang asked. "There can be no mistakes with this one." Eunji finally looked at him. She was young, barely 30, but her eyes held the weight of terrible knowledge. "I am certain. The weapon will work exactly as designed. If we activate it, we can induce a supernova in any star system within 1,000 light-years. The target star will destabilize and explode within minutes. Everything within 5 billion kilometers will be destroyed instantly. How many can we target simultaneously, with our current network of satellites and relay stations?" 47 targets. One for each Council member world. Taeyang was quiet for a moment. The Horizon Protocol was humanity's final insurance policy. If Earth fell, if the Council invaded and conquered humanity, the weapon would activate automatically. Within an hour, 47 suns would explode, taking the Council's homeworlds with them. Billions would die. The galaxy would burn. It was horrible. It was brutal. It was the ultimate expression of the human philosophy that had kept them alive through millennia of warfare. If you are going to die, make sure you take your enemy with you. "Let us hope we never need to use it," Taeyang said quietly. "But I am glad we have it." Across the facility, in a testing chamber built to withstand nuclear explosions, engineer Minho Shin watched as the final Reaper-class dreadnought completed its power-up sequence. The ship was enormous. 5 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull a dark matte black that absorbed light rather than reflecting it. It looked like a piece of space had been carved into the shape of a weapon, and that was exactly what it was. The Reaper carried weapons systems that violated at least 15 different Galactic Council conventions on warfare. Railguns that could punch through planetary shields, plasma cannons hot enough to melt through any known armor, missiles that could split into hundreds of smaller warheads, each one independently targeted and guided. And at the heart of the ship, a weapon that Minho had designed himself. A gravitational collapse beam that could crush a ship into a sphere the size of a marble. The Council had rules against such weapons. They had treaties and agreements that all civilized species signed, promising never to build or use tools of mass destruction. Humanity had never signed those treaties. No one had asked them to. The Council assumed humans were too primitive to build anything that would violate the agreements. They were wrong. "Beautiful, isn't she?" asked a voice behind Minho. He turned to see Colonel Somin Yoon walking into the chamber. She commanded the Phantom Strike Division, the elite pilots who would fly the stealth ships into battle. She was small, barely reaching Minho's shoulder. But everyone who knew her understood that size meant nothing. She was one of the most dangerous humans alive. "She is perfect," Minho replied. "Just like the other 11. The Council thinks our ships are primitive. They think we use old technology, outdated systems. They will be surprised." Somin laughed. Surprised is a gentle word for what they will be. Terrified is more accurate. She walked to the viewing window and looked at the Reaper. "I have seen the battle plans. I know what Admiral Donghyun Lee intends to do. It is not just about winning. It is about sending a message." "What message is that?" "That humanity does not forgive, that we do not forget, that if you attack us, we will not just defend ourselves, we will destroy you so completely that no one will ever think about threatening us again." At that moment, thousands of kilometers above them, Admiral Donghyun Lee sat in his command center, aboard the orbital station, Defense Prime. Around him, dozens of officers monitored every aspect of Earth's defensive network. Screens showed the Council fleet at the edge of the solar system, exactly where intelligence had predicted they would be. 12,000 alien warships. It was the largest invasion force the Council had ever assembled. They thought it would be more than enough to crush humanity. They had no idea what was waiting for them. "Admiral," said one of his officers, "we are receiving a transmission from the Council fleet. They are demanding we prepare to receive their diplomatic envoy." "Ignore it," the Admiral said calmly. They had their chance to talk. Ambassador Jiang gave them every opportunity to withdraw peacefully. They refused. Now they will learn what happens when you mistake human mercy for human weakness. He pulled up a display showing the hidden fleet. 2,000 ships, all ready to deploy. Each one crewed by volunteers who knew exactly what they were fighting for. They were not fighting for territory or resources or political power. They were fighting for their home, for their families, for the simple right to exist without bowing to anyone. "How long until they cross into the engagement zone?" the Admiral asked. 6 days, 17 hours, replied his tactical officer. "Good. Begin moving our visible fleet into position. Let them think we are preparing for a desperate last stand. Let them think they have already won. And then, when they are close enough, when they are committed and cannot retreat." End quote. He paused, looking at the holographic display of the solar system. "Then we show them what Earth really is. We show them that humanity did not climb to the top of the food chain on our planet by being weak. We show them that we are predators, and they have just become our prey." In bases and stations across Earth and its colonies, thousands of people prepared for war. Soldiers checked their weapons. Engineers ran final diagnostics on systems that had been built in secret over decades. Pilots climbed into cockpits of ships that officially did not exist. And deep in the Pacific Ocean, in a trench so deep that sunlight had never reached it, the final weapon powered on. It was called the Kraken Protocol. And it was something the Council could not have imagined, even in their worst nightmares. Earth was ready, the Council fleet was coming, and they had no idea what they were about to face. Captain Hyun-Woo Kang stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance, watching the Council fleet approach on his displays. 12,000 ships moved through space like a swarm of locusts, blotting out the stars behind them. They maintained perfect formation, showing discipline and confidence that came from thousands of years of military tradition. They had no idea they were already surrounded. "Status?" Hyun-Woo asked his crew. "All systems operational, Captain," replied his tactical officer. "The enemy will be in firing range in 40 minutes. They are not attempting to hide their approach. or use any tactical deception. They are coming straight at us. Why would they hide? Muttered the weapons officer. They think they have already won. Hyunwoo allowed himself a grim smile. Let them think that. Maintain our position near Mars orbit. Make it look like we are preparing for a desperate defensive stand. All ships in the visible fleet are to hold formation and wait for my signal. Around him, 200 human ships held their positions. They were good ships, well armed and crewed by some of Earth's best personnel, but against 12,000 alien vessels, they looked hopelessly outmatched. That was the point. The Council fleet continued its advance. On the flagship of the alien armada, the Kelthoran warlord watched his displays with satisfaction. The humans had positioned their entire fleet exactly where his intelligence predicted they would. They were trying to defend their homeworld, clustering near Mars in a pathetic attempt to slow the inevitable. Shall we destroy them now, or offer them one final chance to surrender? Asked his second-in-command. Destroy them, the warlord said without hesitation. They had their chance. Now they will learn the price of defying the Council. The alien fleet opened fire at maximum range. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked across space toward the human formation. The warlord expected to see the primitive Earth ships vaporize instantly. Instead, their shields held. The human vessels scattered, breaking formation and diving in different directions. They returned fire, and to the warlord's surprise, their weapons were more effective than intelligence had suggested. 3 Council ships took critical damage, and 2 more lost their shields completely. Interesting, the warlord said. They have better technology than we thought. No matter. All ships. Advance and engage. Crush them. The 12,000 ships surged forward. The human vessels fell back, fighting desperately, but clearly losing ground. Within 10 minutes, 15 human ships had been destroyed. The humans were retreating toward Mars, using the planet's gravity well for cover. It was all going exactly as the Council expected. Then Admiral Donghyun Lee gave the order that changed everything. Execute Shadow Protocol. All stealth units, decloak, and engage. Across the battlefield, space itself seemed to tear open as 2,000 ships suddenly became visible. They had been there all along, hiding in perfect silence, waiting for the Council fleet to commit fully to the attack. Now they revealed themselves, appearing in the middle of the enemy formation, above it, below it, surrounding it completely. The Council ships had no time to react. The stealth fleet opened fire at point-blank range. Shields meant to stop attacks from a distance were useless when the enemy was already inside your defensive perimeter. Alien vessels exploded by the dozens, then by the hundreds. What is happening? The Kelthoran warlord shouted. Where did they come from? His tactical officer was frantically working his console. I don't know, sir. They just appeared. Our sensors show nothing, but they are right there. They must have cloaking technology we cannot detect. On Earth's moon, the quantum displacement cannons fired. Their shots did not travel through normal space. They simply appeared at their targets, bypassing every defensive system the Council ships possessed. One moment, a ship was intact. The next, a massive hole appeared in its hull as a projectile traveling at a significant fraction of light speed punched through it from the inside out. Impossible! Screamed the Vrexian battle commander aboard his ship. They are shooting through folded space. How do they have that technology? It took us 3,000 years to develop it. He never got an answer. A quantum round materialized inside his ship's reactor core. The resulting explosion destroyed not just his vessel, but 6 others nearby. Colonel Saman Yoon led the Phantom Strike Division in a precision attack on the Council's command ships. Her pilots flew with a skill that came from growing up on a planet where humans had been flying combat aircraft for more than a century before they ever reached space. They wove through the battle, their small fighters too fast and too maneuverable for the larger alien vessels to track. Target the ship with the most communication traffic, Saman ordered. That will be their flagship. Kill it, and their coordination will collapse. Her squadron converged on the Kelthoran warlord's massive dreadnought. The ship's point defense systems tried to stop them, but the human fighters danced between the shots. They fired missiles, each one guided by AI systems that could think and adapt faster than any organic mind. The missiles struck the flagship's engines, crippling it. The ship began to spin out of control, taking 3 other vessels with it as it tumbled through the formation. Then the drones arrived. Millions of tiny machines, each one barely visible, swarmed into the battle space. The Council sensors finally detected them, but by then it was far too late. The drones moved like a school of fish, coordinating perfectly, surrounding isolated ships, and detonating against their hulls. Each explosion was small, but millions of small explosions happening simultaneously could tear apart even the largest warship. A Council destroyer tried to flee, its engines burning at maximum power. The drones caught it anyway, covering the hull in a silver cloud. Then, they detonated all at once, and the ship simply ceased to exist. "Retreat!" the Kelthoran warlord finally ordered. "All ships, emergency withdrawal. Get us out of this system." But Admiral Dong-Hyun Lee had planned for that too. Hidden among the asteroids of the belt between Mars and Jupiter, more weapons activated. These were gravity wells, devices that distorted space-time itself, making faster-than-light travel impossible within their range. The Council ships could not jump to safety. They were trapped. The battle became a slaughter. The Council's numerical advantage meant nothing when they could not see half the enemy ships, when their shields could not stop weapons that bypassed normal space, when millions of drones swarmed them from all directions. Hyunwoo watched from the Defiance as a Kelthoran battlecruiser broke apart under concentrated fire from 3 stealth ships. Tactical. What is our casualty count? 23 ships destroyed, Captain. 17 more damaged but still operational. Enemy losses. The officer paused, checking the numbers again, as if he could not believe them. Enemy losses are catastrophic. 11,400 ships destroyed. The remaining vessels are attempting to surrender. "Do not accept their surrender," came Admiral Lee's voice over the command channel. "They came here to conquer us, to take our world. They showed no mercy, so they will receive none. Destroy them all, but let some escape. I want witnesses. I want them to tell the Council what happened here." 4 hours after the battle began, it was over. Of the 12,000 ships that had come to punish humanity, only 847 managed to flee back into deep space. The rest were debris, floating among the asteroids and moons of the solar system. Human losses: 23 ships destroyed, 17 damaged. Council losses: over 11,000 vessels and hundreds of thousands of lives. As the surviving Council ships ran for their lives, Admiral Dong-Hyun Lee broadcast a message on all frequencies, making sure every fleeing ship could hear him. "You came to our home. You threatened our people. You believed we were weak because we are young. You thought you could take what is ours without consequence." His voice was cold, empty of emotion. "You were wrong. This is your only warning. Return to the Council. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them that Earth remembers. Tell them that we are not victims. We are not prey. And if they ever threaten us again, we will not stop with defending our system. We will bring this war to every Council world. We will show the entire galaxy what happens when you make humans angry." The transmission ended. The surviving Council ships did not slow down. They ran, broadcasting distress calls, warning everyone they could reach about what they had encountered. On Earth, in cities across the planet, people watched the battle on their screens. When it ended, when the numbers were confirmed, the celebrations began. Humanity had faced the greatest military force the galaxy could assemble, and they had crushed it. But in his command center, Admiral Dong-Hyun Lee did not celebrate. He looked at the tactical display, at the debris field where thousands had died, and he began planning the next phase. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "We are going on the offensive. The Council wanted war. Now they are going to get more of it than they can handle." The news of the disaster at Earth reached the Galactic Council within days. The 800 surviving ships limped home, their crews traumatized, and their commanders barely coherent. When the Kelthoran warlord was brought before the Council to explain what had happened, He could only repeat the same words over and over. They were waiting for us. They knew everything. They had weapons we have never seen. The council chamber, usually filled with confident debate, fell into stunned silence as the battle recordings played. Council members watched in horror as their mighty fleet was torn apart by an enemy they had dismissed as primitive. Some refused to believe it was real. Others demanded immediate action. "We must assemble a larger fleet," declared the Vrexian representative, his voice shaking with rage and fear. "Send 50,000 ships. Send 100,000. Wipe humanity from existence before they become too dangerous." But before the council could agree on anything, the humans made their next move. Commander Narihan sat in the command seat of the stealth ship Shadow Walker, deep inside Kelthoran space. Around her, 20 other stealth vessels held position in orbit above the Kelthoran Empire's primary shipyard facility. The massive construction docks stretched across millions of cubic kilometers of space, with hundreds of vessels in various stages of construction. "All teams, status check," Nari said quietly. One by one, her team leaders reported in. They had infiltrated the shipyard over the past week, placing charges in key locations, hacking into security systems, and mapping every critical system. The Kelthorans had no idea humans were already inside their most secure facility. "Execute," Nari ordered. The shipyard exploded from within. Not a random destruction, but surgical strikes on power cores, fuel storage, structural supports, and command centers. The facility tore itself apart in a cascade of failures. Within 10 minutes, 3,000 years of Kelthoran shipbuilding knowledge was reduced to scattered debris. Before the Keltharans could even respond, Shadow Walker and its escort vessels vanished back into the depths of space. That same day, across the galaxy, 17 other human strike teams hit their targets simultaneously. Vrexian weapons foundries disappeared in brilliant flashes of antimatter annihilation. Council military stations were either captured or destroyed so completely that investigators could not even determine what had destroyed them. Critical communication hubs went dark as human hackers seized control of networks that the Council thought were impenetrable. Tactician Unisong coordinated the attacks from a hidden base in the Kuiper Belt. She sat before a holographic display that showed the entire galaxy, with markers indicating each strike team's position and objective. Years of studying human military history had taught her something the Council had never learned. Wars were not won by building the biggest fleet. They were won by destroying the enemy's ability to fight back. "Target Package 7 is complete," reported one team leader. "The Torvik manufacturing complex is offline. They will not be producing any ships for at least 2 years." "Confirmed," Una replied, marking the location in green on her display. "Proceed to secondary target." The Council tried to respond, but their response was chaos. The humans had studied them carefully, learning their command structures, their decision-making processes, their weaknesses. Every time the Council tried to coordinate a defense, the humans were already somewhere else, hitting a target the Council had not even thought to protect. And everywhere they went, the human teams stole data, technology specifications, ship designs, tactical doctrines, military deployment schedules. Within 2 weeks, humanity knew more about the Council's capabilities than most Council members knew themselves. Scientist Yoonji Kim led a team of researchers who worked around the clock analyzing the stolen information. What they discovered both amazed and disappointed them. "Their technology is advanced," Yoonji reported to Admiral Dongyun Lee during a secure communication. "But it is old. Very old. They perfected these systems thousands of years ago, and then stopped innovating. They became comfortable, complacent." "Can we use it?" the Admiral asked. "We can do better than use it. We can improve it. Give me 3 months, and I can upgrade our entire fleet with technology that will make theirs look like toys." She paused. "They have been ahead of us for so long that they forgot how to compete. We have been racing to catch up for 50 years. We have not forgotten how to innovate." The Admiral smiled grimly. "Do it. And make sure the Council knows we are using their own technology against them." As human forces continued their systematic dismantling of Council military infrastructure, something unexpected began to happen. The council itself started to fracture. Smaller species, those who had been forced to join the council or be destroyed, began to question why they were fighting humanity at all. The Keltharan Empire and the Vryxian Confederacy had led them into this disaster, and now their military forces were being crushed, while the Keltharans and Vryxians hid behind their homeworld defenses. Then Director Taeyang Choi released the evidence his intelligence teams had gathered. It spread across the galactic network like wildfire. Detailed plans showing that the Council had never intended to simply colonize Earth's territory. They had planned to enslave humanity, to strip Earth of every resource, to use humans as a labor force for Council projects. The revelation shocked the galaxy. Even species loyal to the Council began to protest. This was not about territory or expansion. This had been a plan for genocide and enslavement. Public opinion turned against the Council leadership. Riots broke out on several worlds. 3 minor species withdrew from the Council entirely, declaring they wanted no part in the war against humanity. In the Council chamber, the Keltharan representative tried to maintain order. "We must stay united. The humans are trying to divide us. We can still defeat them if we work together." But no one was listening anymore. The Torvan delegate's crystalline form flickered with agitation. "You said they were primitive. You said this would be easy. Now our military is in ruins, our people are dying, and we discover you plan to commit atrocities. I will not follow your leadership any further." The Vryxian tried to argue. "If we do not stop the humans now, they will become unstoppable. They already control the narrative. They are turning the galaxy against us. Then perhaps we should not have attacked them," replied another delegate coldly. While the council argued among themselves, Commander Nari Han led her team on their most daring mission yet. They infiltrated the Vryxian homeworld itself, bypassing defenses that had kept the planet secure for 8,000 years. They did not attack the population or destroy cities. Instead, they hacked into the planetary defense grid and sent a simple message that appeared on every screen across the planet. "This is a message from Earth. We could have destroyed your world today. We had the opportunity. We had the weapons. But we did not come here for conquest or destruction. We came here to prove a point. You cannot hide from us. Your defenses cannot stop us. If we wanted you dead, you would already be dead. Remember this mercy when you decide whether to continue this war." The message ended. Commander Nari's team escaped without firing a single shot. The psychological impact was devastating. If humans could penetrate the Vryxian homeworld, they could penetrate anywhere. No council world was safe. No fleet could protect them. The war they had started could not be won. Admiral Dong-Yun Lee watched the reports coming in from across council space. 30 days had passed since the battle at Earth. In that time, human forces had conducted over 200 successful operations. They had destroyed or captured enough military infrastructure to set the Council back decades. They had stolen technology and data. They had turned Council species against each other. And they had done it all with fewer casualties than the Council had suffered in the first battle. "Admiral," said his communication officer, "we are receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They are requesting a ceasefire and peace negotiations." The Admiral considered this for a moment. "Tell them we will consider their request, but make it clear that any negotiations will happen on our terms, at a location of our choosing, and with our demands on the table. They started this war. We will decide how it ends." As the message was sent, the Admiral looked at his tactical display one more time. Human ships now controlled key positions throughout Council space. Not occupying, just watching, reminding the Council that Earth could strike anywhere, anytime. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. Humanity was not prey. They were the hunters. And they had just shown everyone exactly what that meant. 6 months after the war began, Ambassador Ji-Young Park walked into the Galactic Council chamber once again. But this time, everything was different. The seats that had been filled with confident, mocking delegates were now occupied by beings who looked exhausted and defeated. The crystal walls that had sparkled with reflected starlight now seemed dim and cold. The chamber itself had been rebuilt. Human weapons had destroyed the original structure during a demonstration of what Earth could do if negotiations failed. The new chamber was smaller, simpler, and designed with human input. It was a physical reminder that the galaxy had changed. Jiyoung took her place at the central platform. This time, no one laughed. No one whispered insults. They all watched her with a mixture of fear and desperate hope. Behind her stood Admiral Dong-Hyun Lee, wearing his full military uniform. He was not here to negotiate. He was here to remind everyone what would happen if negotiations failed. His presence alone was enough to make several delegates shift nervously in their seats. Director Taeyong Choi sat in the front row, his datapad ready. He had spent months preparing the terms that Earth would present. They were fair but firm, designed to ensure that what happened to humanity would never happen to anyone else. The Keltharan representative, no longer the proud warlord who had threatened Earth, spoke first. His voice was quiet, almost broken. Ambassador Park, the Galactic Council formally apologizes for the unprovoked attack on your system. We acknowledge that our actions were wrong. We are prepared to discuss terms for peace. Jiyoung nodded. The apology is noted. But words alone are not sufficient. Earth has prepared a list of conditions that must be met before we will agree to end hostilities. She activated a holographic display. The terms appeared in the air above the platform, written in every major galactic language so there could be no misunderstanding. First, Jiyoung said, the Galactic Council will pay reparations to Earth for the damages caused by your attack. The amount will be determined by an independent committee, but it will be substantial. Amen. Quote, no one objected. They had expected this. Second, the Council's current power structure will be dissolved. No single species or group of species will hold dominant authority. All member civilizations will have equal representation and equal voting rights, regardless of their age or military strength. The Keltharan started to protest, but the Vrexian delegate cut him off. We accept. The old system led to this disaster. It must change. Jiyoung continued. Third, the Council's policies of aggressive expansion and forced annexation are permanently banned. No civilization may be compelled to join the Council or surrender territory without their free consent. Any violations will be met with immediate action from Earth's military forces. A Torvan delegate raised a crystalline hand. You are saying that Earth will enforce these rules? You are placing yourselves above the Council? No, Jiyoung replied. Earth will be part of the Council, with a permanent seat and veto power over any military actions. We will not rule you, but we will prevent the Council from returning to its old ways. We will be the check on your power, just as you will be a check on ours. The delegates murmured among themselves. It was not what they had hoped for, but it was far better than they had feared. They had expected Earth to demand complete submission, to impose harsh occupation, to take revenge for the attack. Instead, humans were offering partnership, with safeguards. Fourth, Jiyoung said, her voice harder now, if any Council member or outside force attacks Earth or any of our allied civilizations, we will activate the Horizon Protocol. Silence fell across the chamber. They had all heard rumors about this mysterious weapon, but no one knew exactly what it was. Scientist Eunji Kim stood and walked to the platform. She was young, and many of the older delegates looked at her with confusion, wondering why someone so young was being given such an important role. They would understand soon enough. The Horizon Protocol, Eunji explained, bringing up a new display, is a weapon system we developed as our final insurance policy. It consists of satellites and relay stations positioned throughout the galaxy. When activated, it can induce a supernova in any targeted star system. She let that sink in for a moment. The chamber remained absolutely silent. Currently, we have 47 stars targeted, one for each Council member's home system. If Earth is destroyed, if our civilization is wiped out, the system will activate automatically. Within 1 hour, 47 suns will explode. Billions of lives will be lost. Entire civilizations will be erased. A delegate from a small species called the Plenari stood up, his voice shaking. You are threatening to commit genocide. This is madness. Yunji looked at him calmly. We built this weapon because you came to our world with the intention of enslaving us. You forced us to create a deterrent so terrible that no one would ever attack us again. If you think it is madness, remember that you created the circumstances that made it necessary. Admiral Dongyun Lee stepped forward. Let me be clear. Earth has no desire to use this weapon. It exists for one purpose only, to ensure our survival. If you leave us in peace, it will never be activated. But if anyone, anywhere, decides to attack humanity again, they will take the entire council with them into oblivion. The threat was absolute. The message was clear. Earth was offering peace, but it was a peace enforced by the promise of mutual destruction. There is one final term, Ji Young said. Earth is establishing the Terran Accord, a new alliance for smaller and younger civilizations. Any species that feels threatened by larger powers may request Earth's protection. We will defend them as we defend ourselves. This caused a stir. Many smaller species had suffered under Council domination for centuries. The idea that they could now have protection from a power strong enough to defeat the Council's military was revolutionary. Within minutes, 12 different species requested immediate admission to the Terran Accord. By the end of the day, that number had grown to 37. The Keltheran delegate looked at Ji Young with something like resignation. You have defeated us. You have dismantled our military. You have turned half the galaxy against us, and now you offer us peace and partnership instead of destruction. I do not understand humans. Why show mercy now? Ji Young was quiet for a moment, choosing her words carefully. You came to our world believing that might makes right. You thought our youth made us weak. But you forgot something important about humanity. Yes, we are good at war. Yes, we can be ruthless when necessary. But we are also good at building, at cooperating, at creating order from chaos. She gestured to the chamber around them. We spent 10,000 years fighting among ourselves on Earth. We built weapons that could destroy our own planet. We perfected the art of killing each other. But we also learned something from all that violence. We learned that endless war serves no one. We learned that after you win, you have to build something better than what came before. Admiral Dongyun Lee nodded. You attacked us, so we destroyed your military. That was war. But now the war is over. Now comes the harder part. Building a galaxy where no one needs to fear attack. Where young civilizations are not enslaved. Where strength is used to protect, rather than conquer. Director Taeyang Choi stood. The Terran Accord will have 3 primary rules. First, members may not attack each other. Second, members must come to each other's defense if attacked by outside forces. Third, no member may engage in slavery, genocide, or forced annexation. These are not negotiable. The vote took less than an hour. The Galactic Council accepted Earth's terms unanimously. They had no choice. But more than that, many of them realized that the terms were fair. Earth was not asking for tribute or territory. They were not demanding submission. They were simply ensuring that the galaxy would be safer for everyone. As the session ended, the Vrexian delegate approached Ji Young privately. I must know. If we had withdrawn when you first warned us, would this war have happened? No, Ji Young replied simply. We gave you every opportunity to leave peacefully. We did not want this war. We never wanted it. Then why did you prepare so thoroughly for it? Ji Young smiled sadly. Because we are human. We hope for peace. But we prepare for war. We trust in diplomacy. But we build weapons just in case. It is what kept us alive on our own planet. And it is what will keep us alive out here among the stars. In the months that followed, the galaxy began to transform. The old council structures were dismantled and replaced with more democratic systems. Earth's technology, freely shared with Terran Accord members, began to spread. Species that had been oppressed for millennia found themselves with rights and protections they had never dreamed of. Human ships patrolled trade routes, protecting merchant vessels from pirates. Human engineers helped rebuild damaged infrastructure on worlds that had suffered in the war. Human teachers shared knowledge freely, asking nothing in return except that it be used for peaceful purposes. The Reaper-class dreadnoughts, the stealth fleets, the quantum cannons, all remained ready. The Horizon Protocol continued to target the Council homeworlds. Earth had not forgotten the lessons of the war. They would protect peace, but they would do so from a position of strength. 1 year after the war ended, Captain Hyun-Woo Kang stood on the bridge of the Defiance, now assigned to patrol the outer territories. A distress call came in from a small colony that was being attacked by raiders. "Set course," Hyun-Woo ordered. "Maximum speed. Let us show these raiders what happens when you threaten people under Earth's protection." The Defiance jumped to faster than light speed, racing to help people who had no connection to humanity except their need for protection. On Earth, in a quiet office in Geneva, Ji-young Park looked at reports from across the galaxy. The Terran Accord now had 83 member species. Trade was flourishing. Scientific cooperation was producing breakthroughs that benefited everyone. The galaxy was not perfect, but it was better than it had been. She thought back to that day in the council chamber when they had laughed at her warning. They had learned the hard way that humanity should not be underestimated. But more importantly, they had learned that humanity could be more than warriors. They could be protectors, builders, and partners. Earth had been attacked. Earth had retaliated with ruthless efficiency. But then Earth had done something the Council never expected. They had shown mercy. They had offered partnership. They had used their strength not to conquer, but to create a better galaxy for everyone. The Galactic Council had been left speechless by Earth's military might. But in the end, they were even more shocked by humanity's compassion. And that, more than any weapon, was what changed the galaxy forever.